Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to week I don't have a clue because I got called out on a surprise work trip to Nome, Alaska. This is a pretty remote place in Alaska where a lot of my family's from, so I got to meet family that I didn't even know I had. The initial trip was really overwhelming, and yeah, today is the video you guys have been asking for. I've done a couple live streams since I got back. My life back in town has been extremely busy, and yeah, let's get on with it. So I did have a special announcement. Our channel did reach over 4,000 subscribers since we started this channel about a year and a half ago with some struggling weight loss videos. My starting weight was about 435 pounds, and in these videos I like to explain in plain English from an average everyday truck driver perspective that you can too lose weight with little to no exercise, just like I did. I have an entire playlist called Losing Weight in Alaska, and it goes over every single week just about up until now. The only time I've had a hiccup or a break in there was on this previous work trip where I was working, I believe it was 3.5 weeks straight. I worked a couple extra days when I got back into town, and yesterday was my first official day off that I've had in about a month. So I tried to enjoy that the best I could. So far, the carnivore diet has been my go-to diet for weight loss maintenance. I can overeat meat even up to 6,000 calories in a day for an extended period of time. I don't gain any weight at all. I might gain the initial weight from the meat that I eat, but I'm not gaining any weight from fat and being inflamed from soybean oils or extra processed foods with tons and tons of unhealthy ingredients in there. But when I first started losing weight, I was mainly focused on fasting, and then I had to figure out a weight loss maintenance type eating plan. So I was looking into keto, KetoVore. Carnivore came up completely accidentally, and it just happens to work for weight loss maintenance specifically. But since I went to Nome, I was attempting to complete a 90-day BBBE challenge. Somebody called it 3 B's and E, which was extremely helpful because 3 B's and E just makes it so much easier for me to say. I'm a lot less confused. The reason I don't gain weight when I eat 6,000 calories or more, even with little to no exercise, is because it takes more calories to burn the calories I consume, especially if you're eating just meats and fats. It works. I feel so much healthier the stricter I get with the carnivore diet than any other type diet I've ever tried in my life. Now, something else I wanted to mention early on in my weight loss journey is I was bombarded by a lot of these weird comments, like at Great Beyond 74 here. He's going to gain all that weight back quick. Now, I took that to heart, and I seriously take those negative type comments. It could be borderline negative or not, but I tried to focus my entire weight loss journey on situations just like this. I didn't want to gain the weight back. I got so metabolically screwed up. I didn't want to just reverse back into what I was. I'm trying to fix these situations, and since then I've been able to cure my sleep apnea. I've been able to regain a lot of my hearing. My sight has not quite improved as well as I thought it might on the carnivore diet, because some people claim that their sight improves. But overall, I've had a lot of the other random experiences that people claim on the carnivore diet actually happened. And the reason I'm doing this is just to see if it works. And so far, everything that people have claimed has worked. Blood pressure's normal, blood work looks great. Yes, the cholesterol, LDL, HDL is a little high because all I eat is meats and fats. But I don't worry about that because I'm not eating all the overly processed foods. So people are wondering, how much money did I spend while I was up in Nome? Well, I was up there for approximately 26 straight days, and let's see, and I figured out my ribeye meals because I started out with hamburger meat. I wasn't too happy with the hamburger meat, but overall my price per meal was approximately the same, which was around $25 per meal. So for the entirety of the trip, I spent about $650, and then I was there for approximately 4 weeks. So 650 divided by 4, that's $162.5, $162.50 per week. And that's right around the average of what I can remember that I was spending, because I was buying these ribeye steaks at first in single packages, which was about $14 per package, and that was about .70 or 0.75 pounds of ribeye steak, and that wasn't too bad. And then a roommate of mine suggested, hey, why don't you just buy the bulk pack? So that was something I got into. Now the price per pound for ribeye steak was right around $19.49. I'm not sure 100%. I have an image there. I'm going to pull that up real quick and give you guys a shot of what I was paying for meat up there. But I was under severe sticker shock. I had a hard time trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to maintain the carnivore diet while I was up here? And thankfully I mathed it out, and that made me feel a whole lot better while I was up there. So it made this diet completely sustainable, even as far away as Nome, Alaska. And while I was in Nome, I got to meet a lot of my family. My mother-in-law, for instance. I spent some time with my Aka. I had several meals with my Aka, and not everything there was 100% carnivore, because when Aka makes food, you eat the food that Aka makes. And Aka is not trying to kill us. And if you don't know what the word Aka means, it's just simply grandma or great grandma, or just grandma in general is what Aka means. So sometimes we use the term Aka, you know, just to explain to others, even in the family at times, which Aka we're talking about. So when I got on the plane, I was a solid 285 pounds, 0.0. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to see what I can lose while I'm up in Nome. And if I could lose anything at all. I had my doubts. I didn't really think I was going to be able to actually maintain this type of lifestyle while I was up there. Lots of anxiety. And it all started when I got on the plane in Anchorage. And before I got on the plane, I did go shopping. I got some vitamins. They reformulated, Costco, Kirkland brand specifically, reformulated my magnesium. That was a super huge mistake, not reading the ingredients on my magnesium package, because I didn't even notice this until I got home, that they started putting vegetable oils and other seed oils in their magnesium supplements, which previously worked really well with my diet. When I got home, I believe this video here is taken on Friday, right at the end of the week. I was already home for 2 days, and I just wanted to see what I lost while I was gone, because the next following day is going to be Saturday, and I got my kitties doing their thing. And I got a new cat, and the little black cat is called Taz, if anybody is interested in who that kitty is. But let's get the scale out and get it all set up so, you know, we can actually see what the weight is that I lost for the entirety of that trip, because that's been the question at hand that a lot of people have been asking. So we're looking at 267.9 pounds. And remember, my first weight before I got on the airplane was 285. So when I started the weight loss journey, I was 435 pounds. When I got off the airplane and got back home after a couple of days, I got my weight, and it was 267.9 pounds. That's 167.1 pounds of total weight loss since I started this weight loss journey less than a year and a half ago. We're getting pretty close to a complete year and a half of actual weight loss. This is totally possible. Anybody can do this stuff. So while I was gone on this extended trip, before I got on the plane, I was 285 pounds. After I got home, again, I was 267.9 pounds. So in approximately 3.5 weeks to 4 weeks, I lost a total amount of 17.1 pounds. This was all eating. 1 meal a day, OMAD type diet, BBBE, primarily ribeye steaks, 3 eggs, 2 reindeer sausage is what it turned out to be towards the end. That's a total weight loss of 17.1 pounds in 3 to 4 weeks. That's a great weight loss for doing next to nothing and driving around in a truck in a lot of circles and barely getting out of the truck. Again, anybody can do this, even you. Now, this entire trip, I have been eating only beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Now, when I first got to Nome, one of my relatives cooked me up, you know, a thing of bacon, a little Tupperware of bacon. I had a chance to eat some of that when I first got there, and I wasn't too concerned about the beef or the butter part of the diet. For one, I don't care that much for butter. If I want to do like a glaze on my steak, I might put some butter in there towards the end. But butter tends to burn. I like to cook things at high temperatures and get a really good sear on my steak. But I was mainly focused on ribeye steaks and eggs for the win. So a lot of bacon at times tends to slow down my weight loss. And then since I was already up on a remote trip and I could seriously focus on just myself at that time, because none of the extra food that was in the apartment was mine, it was all my roommates. So it was real easy for me to focus on ribeye steaks and eating a lot of eggs. So another thing I did was I broke down how many calories were on just about every plate. Now this top number here, which is 1320, that is the approximate calories for 1 pound of ribeye steak. Most of my steaks were just under a pound at times. Some were a little bit heavier than a pound. So we're just going to use this as a rough average. So 1320, that was the ribeye steak. 80 calories was 3 eggs. So 80 calories plus that 3 times. And then the 2 reindeer sausage that I was eating, just to have a little bit of spice and a little bit of random variety on my plate, which makes the plate incredibly interesting. And it also helps me keep from getting meat boredom, or what do they call that? It's some type of like meat exhaustion where food just doesn't taste as well anymore. But those reindeer sausage were approximately 330 calories a piece, which makes the total calories on my entire plate right around 2,220 calories. Now also keep in mind, I was doing this on a 1 meal a day plan. So I wasn't bringing snacks to work. I was just bringing electrolytes and water. When I first got there, I was having problems sourcing out some apple cider vinegar like I could purchase here in town. I did find some eventually, but over time, I didn't like the taste of the apple cider vinegar that I had. It just wasn't working on my palate for whatever reason. So I stopped taking electrolytes like partway through the trip. Everything worked out just fine. I did pack another 2 bottles of water every single day. We're talking about a 1 liter bottle to go bottles of water. And that's basically all I drank throughout the day. Now my job duties basically included waking up early in the morning, getting to work, getting a truck started, and then I'm just go, go, go for the entirety of the day. Now this is one of those round robin type jobs where you typically don't get out of the truck unless you have to go to the bathroom or you have a mechanical breakdown, and those happen. So once in a while I had to go back to the shop, take care of some minor maintenance, but then I'm back in the truck running around in circles. There was only one day throughout this entire hitch that we weren't in the trucks, and we were out doing other various type jobs, some labor intensive jobs, really not getting a whole lot of exercise, but we weren't in the truck for like one solid day. We were basically just helping the mechanics around shop to do maintenance because one of our projects up there got down to a point where it was really slow. So we had to rotate drivers out and make sure they had, plenty to do, and everybody just kept busy. So when I first got there, I was starting out with driving a brand new side dump. I mean, this truck is like new 2025 model that they sent up specifically for this job. And eventually we had to change out trucks. I drove this red truck that rode so incredibly rough. It could tell, it could literally predict bumps 20 years in the future. And then I eventually found this other truck that needed a little bit of, upkeep and maintenance. So I focused mainly on this truck, which drove really, really nice throughout the remainder of the job. And that was my final truck that I was driving for the majority of the time that I was there. Now they put us up in a really nice 2-bedroom apartment. Apparently the company I was working for, they rent out this one apartment year long for seasonal workers that come and go in the summertime and in the winter. While I was there, I had a problem with the dryer, so I had to hang all my clothes up just around the room. Thankfully, when I got home that day, they were dry, but that turned into a problem, which kind of woke me up a little bit to the realities of being so far away from, all the modern creature comforts of just walking down to Home Depot, picking up a piece of machinery, bringing it to the house. They don't have that option there. So they could potentially be waiting for a month and a half. So also while I was there, I did do a vlog where I would just walk through one of the Nome grocery stores called Hanson's, and I got a lot of prices on, somewhat healthy food, some of the overly processed food, and some of these prices just blew me away. Now for the organic eggs, we're looking at a price of like $10 for 18 count of eggs. Now, one thing I didn't notice right off the bat is they have just regular run-of-the-mill, like Lucerne style eggs, which was just below this. I didn't get a picture of that. I found it later on, but the price for that 18 count eggs was like just under $6. That was budget friendly for me because I can eat a lot of eggs and I didn't have to spend a whole lot of money, which brought my total meal price, right into the $25, $26 range, depending on how many eggs I use and what size ribeye steak I was going to be able to find. But now when I started looking into the overall price of overly processed foods and snacks, like a bag of Cheetos, which has zero nutritional value, plus makes your fingers tainted orange with that crazy dye that they like to put in there, but that's like $10 for the bag. You'd be better off just buying eggs. Just eat the eggs, just eat the steak, because an average ribeye steak in the single package by itself fills you up quickly. It's super healthy. It's got a lot of connective tissue and natural fat in there, which is exactly what our body needs for fuel. And I'd highly recommend that. So I was spending about $14 on those steaks. But I was also looking at products that I previously consumed before I started losing weight, stuff I had to wean myself off of, like this Coffee Mate Creamer. I used to drink this stuff by the gallon. I'd be filling my coffee cup, like a quarter full at times, and they're just super unhealthy. They're full of unnatural sugars, soybean oils, and other nonsense, but the price of just one of these small containers there is about $7.49. Now, as you notice, a lot of the prices are just like total sticker shock because everything has to be flown up by airplane. Very few groceries come up by barge in the summer because the barge is taken up with people's vehicles, construction equipment, and all kinds of other stuff being shipped up to the village just to keep the village moving. A gallon of Lucerne milk was right around $5 and 59 cents, or right in there, that price range, which really isn't that far off from what the prices are in Anchorage. I know down in the lower 48, you guys get this stuff a whole lot cheaper, but that's because you have the cattle farms down there and you have the manufacturing and the facilities in that area. But some more overly processed foods that I was looking at, stuff that I used to eat before I started losing weight, Nutter Butters. I mean, if you want a package of those, you're spending over $10. We're looking at a price of $11.49. Chips Ahoy, same thing. Borderline, close to $10 at $8.49 for the Chips Ahoy Red Velvet cookies. Not an ounce of goodness in here. And there's so many random distractions up here. When it comes to these overly processed foods with bright colors, they're marketing to children. Even in the cereal aisle, they have things like Cheerios, which are considered heart healthy, and they're not. They're overly priced boxes of food. One of my go-tos was this Alaska reindeer sausage. For 5 of them, it comes in at about $10.99. Now, this is something I have eaten and had reliable weight loss when I was just eating these. So I would come home, eat 3 of these, on a 1 meal a day. And if I wanted to snack on some of these, I could get potential weight loss just eating a couple of these throughout the day. And then I come home, maybe eat some more, have some eggs, maybe some more steak. And this stuff just works. The carnivore diet just seems to work. So I didn't want to go out and buy bacon because bacon just seemed to be incredibly overpriced to me. Like this Applewood bacon here, it's probably about 3 pounds worth of bacon at $20.99. I just wasn't into it. I didn't feel like it was a good idea to purchase it. Now, I had a problem with the hamburger meat when I was up there. I did not like it. So for a small package of hamburger meat, it was like $19.07. That's about $9.49 per pound just for hamburger meat. It didn't make me feel good. So when I eat something, even on a meat-based diet, that doesn't make my stomach feel good, I tend to look for other foods. And I recommend everybody else go out and try to do the same thing. Because sometimes you can eat stuff that's on the plan, but just doesn't make you feel good. So just go find something else and don't overly purchase meat unless you know it's pretty good meat. That way you're not going to be miserable and unhappy for a long period of time. So another nice part of my trip is I got to meet some of my nieces and nephews, spend time hanging out at their homes. That was extremely nice. I got baby Martina hanging out on top of my head. That was fun. I got to see Riley, who I get to see once in a while. A lot of times we get to see our relatives when they come down on medical type trips because they go to the clinic up there. They get referred down here to take care of further medical type things. And so I get to see these kids once in a while. I also get to see other family members when they come to town. We tend to drive them around when they get here. Life up in Nome is slow motion compared to here in Anchorage. So it took me a couple of days just to decompress after getting off the airplane. And on the plane ride home, I saw this amazing halo of the airplane and a shadow of the airplane going through the sky. I got a window seat, and it was just so much fun trying to get a little recording of that clip of the this little weird, almost like spiritual looking halo as I was flying home. That was beautiful. I had a lot of fun while I was up there. I really can't complain. Like I said, I went up with a lot of anxiety. I came home to a culture shock of getting off the plane in 45 miles an hour. Felt like we were doing 100 miles an hour with all these people in town here in Anchorage just driving so fast. I mean, I couldn't even drive home, which is something I would normally do, but everything's so slow in Nome. You know, my average speed up there is about 40 miles an hour. And on the 30-mile-an-hour stretches, quite often it's muddy, it's bumpy. So the speeds up there are right around 25 for trucks. That way we're not flinging mud on everybody. There's a ton of pedestrians up there, by the way. And some of these pedestrians at times can be inebriated. So we just got to be careful. We got to work safe. Everything slows down. Just because the speed says 50 miles an hour does not mean we do 50 miles an hour, because it's just not safe for the locals. So another thing I wanted to add is me and my wife celebrated my 3-year anniversary of being married. So that was a fun time. I did celebrate by eating a large steak. I believe it was a top loin steak that I got from a big chunk of meat at Costco. Now, when I do celebrations and stuff like that, I kind of don't get off plan. If it's something like a birthday party, I'll just stay away from whatever treats are available at a birthday party. But when it's my anniversary, that is my day to celebrate. And yes, we did celebrate with a cheesecake, and we had some cheesecake. We enjoyed our time. I got my wife some flowers. She was happy. And then it was that surprise call. Like, hey, you're going to Nome. Get ready. You need to be on the plane Saturday, which was the next day. So I had to get ready, and I got on the plane. So, okay, guys, that concludes today's video. I hope it wasn't too long for you. There's a lot of stuff I could have gone over. I'm just not going to get into it because it's just too much that happened while I was up there. But yes, the BBBE diet works really well. Even in remote Alaska, it can be done affordably. And now that I'm back in Anchorage, I can focus on doing it affordably here as well. I highly recommend it. I feel amazing. I mean, I feel like I look great. I mean, it's just a rare thing. But as always, guys, if you like videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. Be sure to hit that notification bell for our next upload. I tend to do these videos every single weekend to keep people updated. I try to focus on 5 solid days of whatever I do. On the weekends, I might get a little more relaxed, but since I'm doing BBBE until the mid-November, just to see what happens. And so far, I'm like only part way through this 90-day challenge, and I'm just blown away by the amount of weight loss, second, the amount of energy I have. So yeah, I mean, if this is something you guys are into, I'll come back. I talk about it. I'm just the average truck driver that just tries to explain things in plain English, and hopefully I'm a little bit entertaining. So okay, guys, until next time.